Hey everybody, it's Ayoka. Thanks for tuning back into our channel, Melanation. Hopefully you've been vibing and things been going good for you. I'm sending you peace and love and light to infinity. So today, I wanted to just bring up some things. So, what I like to do is just share information that I'm picking up and learning as I am on my journey to find my higher self, to learn more about me as a natural person in proper persona sui juris. If you don't know what that means, thank you for watching and keeping up with me, because I will be directing you to how to find out that type of information. So I'll just run through real quick some of my mentors and places that I go to get my information. I'm always going to talk about rvbaypublications.com. Go on there. It is a plethora of information, a lot of documents that we need to have at home. You can find on the website. If you don't go to the website, you can still find things like the Constitution, Bill of Rights. You can find that stuff just by Googling it. So these are some of the documents that you'll find on the website. But that is a central location for a lot of this stuff. So that's a good start for getting a lot of this information. So what I want to talk about today is the accepted for value and the craze behind all of that. So essentially, accepted for value is the process that we are to take in order to discharge our debts. And that's any debts from the research that I'm finding. And please, if you're also on the path, if you are also into the A4V discharging of debts, and you have any information to add, any questions, or if there's something that I'm not doing correctly or anything at all, we're here to share information. I started this channel so that I can get further in my studies and hopefully find people that are like-minded to again help strengthen my studies. So that's what we're here for, share. So the accepted for value. So I actually sent in bills to be discharged back in September. So what I had heard prior to me sending my bills in is that it does take 4 weeks, 2 months to hear something back from the IRS or the IRS or the Treasury, what have you, about your accepted for value. And that was correct almost to the day. So I sent that information back in September, and October 6th, I received correspondence from the IRS. Now, the information that I received from the IRS, I'm 100% sure was to scare me, because it actually did not make any sense for what I was doing. So if I didn't know what I was doing and I had received that letter, I can see it scaring or deterring an individual from continuing on the process based on that letter. But like I said, the letter, so I sent in a packet of bills, of actual bills, utility bills, my car, presentment statement. So I don't even call bills anymore. I call them presentment statements, because that's what they are. And so I sent in that presentment statement along with school bills, just really any bills that I could find around the house at that time on that day. I went ahead and did the A4V process and sent that all in together to the 3 different places that you send your A4V to. Now, I'm I'm glossing over a lot. I'm sorry. I'm actually trying to see if some of this information that I'm talking about is at my desk right now. I brought some of it, but some of it's not here. But I'm not going into great detail about the A4V process just because I'm still on it. So I don't want to explain how to do it while I am learning how to do it. But I feel that if this is a visual, if, you know, the ground was on fire and I'm building a ladder out of the fire, right? And the ladder is not quite finished, but I got some steps. Why would I leave you in the fire to finish this ladder when I've got just enough for you to get out of the fire while I continue to build to the top, right? So although I don't know exactly what to do, follow me along on my journey and find out what I'm doing. And like I said, if there's something that needs to be addressed, fixed, that's why I'm doing it like this, so that we can get it all figured out. So the A4V, I sent it to the 3 places that you're supposed to send those out to. And I received correspondence back from only one of them. And again, they were bills. The letter that I received back from the IRS was basically telling me that, you know, I have to pay my taxes and giving me all the reasons why a person needs to pay their taxes. Also letting me know that, you know, it's a courtesy that they're extending to me to even respond to my frivolous, that's what they called it, frivolous request. But if I don't hear from them again, don't take their silence as acquiescence to my request. And, but again, it gave some backup rules and regulations on why I have to pay taxes. Now, again, they sent me information on why I have to pay my taxes when I did not send them anything about not paying taxes. I simply sent them a bunch of accepted for value presentment statements filled out in the correct way. The way that you're supposed to fill them out is you basically turn the bottom of a bill into a money order. Let me see if this is a good one. Ooh, I need this number. I'm glad I pulled this out. Can I show you this without giving all my information? Let me see. Can you see that? Okay, so basically you see how this looks. Don't disregard this number. You see how this looks. Of course, you can't see the stuff that I'm covering up, but basically you make this bottom portion into a money order, and you write money order across it, and you write some things across it so that you turn this presentment statement or this coupon and you fill it out the way that it was always intended to be. So that I thought was interesting that, you know, they sent me back, you know, something saying how to pay taxes. So I kind of got excited because I was like, hey, they're paying me some attention. They took some time out of their day to, you know, send me that to kind of scare me. Now what I need to do to confirm what I believe I need to do to confirm that the A4V discharge actually worked is, I think, maybe calling the companies, using the account information on the bills that I did send to see if the debt has been discharged. And then from there, I'll know. So I'll get on that and update you. Now, what I wanted to add is, so since I had sent that information in, I had stumbled across a video. What is her name? April Lagoon. I listened to her. It's this Caucasian lady. She's talking about A4V. And I get information from a variety of places, and then I really just see if it matches up. So although April is Caucasian, the things that she's saying lines up with the things that I study and that I've learned from RV Bay and, you know, others. So I will say her information is pretty correct. So what she was talking about is a cover letter for your A4V. And if you send this cover letter, you are less likely to receive any pushback from the IRS. So you look her up. You can get this information from her. I went ahead and printed it out. It's a cover letter. It's a few pages, and when I researched this to verify its legitimacy, I guess, the first line here, this filing is in accord with, and then this long information right here. Hopefully it's not backwards when you guys see it. But I went and looked up that information and found out some really, really good stuff. So I was excited and I couldn't wait to share. So it read UCC 1-3, which I'm familiar with the UCC 1-103 because you do actually put that on your A4V when you're filling it out. And the UCC 1-103 protects you. It's like saying all rights reserved. So UCC 1-103, 1-104, Public Law, Chapter 48 Stat. Let me slow it down because I broke it down. So am I gonna read all this? I guess so. All right. So 1-103 is a constitution of the Uniform Commercial Code. So UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code. And 1-103 is a construction of the Uniform Commercial Code to promote its purpose and policies applicable of the supplemental principles of law. So the Uniform Commercial Code must be liberally constructed and applied to promote its underlying purpose and policies, which are to simplify, clarify, and modernize the law governing commercial transactions. So right there is a major indication that UCC is commercial transactions. We're not going to do this today. To permit the continued expansion of commercial practices through custom usage and agreement of the parties, and to make uniform the law among various jurisdictions. So they kind of created this Uniform Commercial Code for commercial transactions so everybody can kind of be on one accord. Now, the next part, it says, unless displaced by the particular provisions of the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, the principles of law and equity, including the law merchant and the law relative to capacity to contract. So I'll say that again, relative to the capacity to contract. So your capacity to contract means your ability to get into a contract with someone, your level of understanding to enter in or agree into a contract. So it's saying that including the merchant law and the law relative to your capacity to contract, the principal and agent, estoppel, fraud, misrepresentation, duress, coercion, mistake, bankruptcy, and other validating or invalidating cause supplement its provision. So it's saying that because those things that I just listed are there's a possibility for, fraud, misrepresentation, duress, coercion, mistake, bankruptcy, estoppel, capacity contract, principal agent. Because those are there's an ability for those things to happen, the UCC had to be created. So that's the first part of the A4V cover letter evidence to corroborate and back up your claim that the United States is to discharge any debt. So we're talking again about the A4V, and I am doing my due diligence to research what backs up and what gives me authority to reach out to the IRS and even file a discharge, a A4V. So, what's the next part? The next one is going to be the 1-104. This is construction against implied repeal. So the Uniform Commercial Code, being a general act intended as a unified coverage of its subject matter, no part of it shall be deemed to be implied, repealed by subsequent legislation if such construction can be reasonably avoided. So sorry, y'all. I gotta do this. Got it. It's gonna be bugging me all day. What is that? Oh, I did put some stuff. Oh, I wonder if my hair is dripping. I put some oil in my hair. It must have fell on me. All right, so back to it. And it was just about to get good too. All right, so what I just said was the Uniform Commercial Code being a general act. So 1-104 says that the federal government, okay, this is the part you guys need to pay attention to. This is like everything right here. If you don't know nothing else, if you take nothing else, this is where I need you to listen up. The federal government took our lawful money out of circulation in 1933, but Congress had to provide the people with a remedy. Public Law, it's a book, Chapter 48, 48 Stat 112, you can Google that, under HJR-192. You can Google that as well. H as in Henry, J as in Juliet, R as in Romeo, 192 is that remedy. And in part states that the federal government will discharge all of our debts, public and private, dollar for dollar. What? Yes. HJR 192 is the remedy since the federal government took gold. That was our lawful money. It took it out of circulation in 1933. You guys already know about that. The Great Depression, the infamous depression, stock crash, all of that. This is all coming together. Under HJR 192 states that the federal government will discharge all of our debts, public and private, dollar for dollar. This is called the House Joint Resolution 192, Public Law 73-10. You can look this up. So this is all information we have access to. And, we learn about, our rights, Constitution, the House of Representatives, the Senate, the law, we learn about all that stuff oddly in like third grade. We're like 8 and 9. But they don't discuss this, and then they don't bring it back up any other time. So a lot of this stuff it has to be self-study or self-taught. And but it's possible. You can do research to be more knowledgeable in a topic, and then a great way to confirm or verify your knowledge, call the IRS right on up and ask them questions. Hey, I am filling out my A4V. I just want to make sure that I'm doing that correctly. Can you help me with that? That if they nope, then okay, can you transfer me to someone who knows what I'm referring to? Or some of them will be like, yes, I know what you're talking about. What question do you have? You have to sound like you're knowledgeable. You have to know what you're talking about, though. They're not going to give you the answers to the test, but they will allow you to check your answers with them, if that makes sense. And I'll do that. I don't mind doing that for you guys. I don't mind doing that for you guys on some bills. If you guys just reach out and let me know that you want me to call the IRS live for you so you can hear what's going on, just let me know. But there's a couple videos already. If you go to YouTube and type in A4V, I mean, you'll get a ton of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to sift through, though. And it's hard to know when, you know, someone may say something wrong and it's not like they go back in the video and say, hey, I told you wrong. So, you know, you got to be careful with this stuff. You do. But if you're afraid, I mean, then we'll never know, right? I have no fear, baby. Okay, so the House Joint Resolution 192, Public Law 7310. Every obligation heretofore and hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provision is contained therein or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment, dollar for dollar, in any coin or currency which at time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. Any such provision contained in any law authorizing obligations to be issued by or under authority of the United States is hereby repealed, but the repeal of any such provision shall not invalidate any other provision or authority contained in such law. So it was just reiterating what I just read was the actual House Joint Resolution 192. What I read prior to that is saying that the HJR or House Joint Resolution 192 is the remedy, and then I just broke down what the House Joint Resolution actually is. So the next piece in the cover letter. So again, if you're just tuning in, the cover letter is gonna have where in their rule books, they're either in their UCC, where the information is to back up our claim for an A4V or accepted for value or discharging of debts. The next portion in that is Public Law 73-10, Title 31, Section 5118. You can also go Google that, because that's what I did. And always check, always get information for yourself. Always go see it with your own eyes off the paper. All right. Those who constitute an association nationwide of private, unincorporated persons engaged in the business of banking to issue notes against these obligations of the United States due them, whose private property is at risk to collateralize the government's debt and currency, by legal definition is National Banking Association. Such notes issued against these obligations of the United States to that part of the public debt due its principals and sureties are required by law to be accepted as legal tender of payment for all debts, public and private, and are defined as in law as obligations of the United States. So it's obligations of the United States on the same par and category with Federal Reserve notes and other currency and legal tender obligations. So what that's telling me is it's saying that all debts, public and private, are defined in law as obligations of the United States. So this stuff should be coming together for you, you should begin to kind of wake up to what is going on and what's being said. This is the protection. Okay, good. This is the last one. And then when they reference the Title 18 in the uniform, in 18 in the United States Code, Section 8, they're referring to the United States Code in a consolidation and codification by subject matter of general and permanent laws in the United States. United States Codes. Look that up. United States Code, and then look up Title 18, Section 8. It is prepared by the Office of Law Revision Council of the United States House of Representatives for currency information. Click here. So, again, I just broke down each part of the information to corroborate our claim for our bills to be discharged. And I wanted to say that when you look up the United States Code, you reference Title 18, Section 8, and it will give you a little bit more information. So, to me, when the next presentment that I send out, I will attach the this cover letter. And let's see, I guess I can go ahead and read this for you. So, this cover letter, this filing is in accord with the UCC 1-103, 1-104, Public Law, Chapter 48, 48 Stat 112, Public Law 73-10, Title 31, Section 5118, and the House Joint Resolution 192, June 5th of 1933. The debtor, John Doe, is entered into commercial registry as a transmitting unity for the sole purpose of transmitting commercial activity as a conduit for the benefit of the trustee, creditor, your natural name. So John Doe is, I don't want to confuse you. But I want to make sure you hear the significance of the words that I'm saying. Everything is about the words. That's why it is so very important that you get a Black's Law dictionary. If you don't get one, like a book, you can Google Black's Law Dictionary and download the PDF. It's like 481 pages, but it downloaded just fine in my phone. That's the Black's Law Dictionary I use, because I don't have a physical one. If you want to donate me one, please do. But the legal person, the entity, the legal person is the debtor, and your natural person is the creditor, the trustee. Okay, so due to the absence of real money supported by substance since March of 1933, discharging one's part of the public debt by a promissory note is the only lawful way to settle all prior debts and convictions. This shall be done per my order via the trust, legal person, your name in all caps, and by my voluntary tender and offer my private asset credit exemption. Number 2, my natural person has established, your natural person or the creditor has, because you have to turn yourself into a creditor. That's another video, because right now you're a debtor. A debtor will never own anything. A debtor is always in debt. Always your property can always be seized. You're always renting. You're always in an interest rate, high interest rate. You're a debtor. They make money off of debtors. You want to become a creditor. creditor. You want to become your own secure party creditor. You want to become the authorized user of the legal entity that they made. Now, again, I'm saying a lot of stuff. I'm really just planting some seeds in your mind for you to go and look this information up and verify what I'm talking about. Take notes during my videos and then go and research them. I really just drop nuggets to get your mind wondering, kind of open your mind up, open your thought process up, give you better conversation for dinner. Okay, so the creditor, your natural person has established lawful status and standing. So, like I said, you want to change your status, put them on notice that you understand who you are now. Have established status and standing as a principal creditor to the U.S. corporation to offer my private credit exemption asset so noted in the public record as the private trustee / creditor and the settler for the trust doing business as the legal person. So you want to go to your local courthouse and file a DBA in your legal name, your all caps name, in your straw man. You want to do a DBA so your natural person is doing business as the legal person. And from my understanding, that is part of the process of becoming a creditor and taking ownership of the estate or taking ownership of your legal person and changing your status from a debtor to a creditor. I did do that process. So I did go down to the courthouse and I did do a DBA of my straw man or my legal person, all caps name, which is a name that's on my birth certificate. I'm doing business as the legal entity that they created when they constructed the birth certificate under threat, duress, and coercion. My mother signed that, signing me over to the state. A lot of us who have birth certificates, you became a ward of the state upon that signing. And that's where the legal person or the legal entity or the business was created. And it's really hard to kind of read this information and not give you a little background, because if you are not aware of this information, really, I'm reading this and it makes no sense to you. And I know when I'm listening or reading something that makes no sense to me, I just zone out. So I don't want you to zone out. I want you to be able to follow along, and what you don't understand or want to research more on, that's how you research. You hear stuff that you're following along until you don't or you can't. You go find that information, just like what I did. I have this document here, and then it had all these little numbers in public law and all that. I didn't know what that was, so I went and broke that down. So now I know what that all is. I can continue reading the document and be a little bit more knowledgeable about what it is that I'm reading. It's okay to have to read something a few times to gain an understanding. We were not taught legalese at all, and that's what these terms are. Creditor, debtor, these are legalese terms. And if you do not know what they mean, you might believe you know, but if you don't know what they mean, it really does sound like gibberish as it's being read. And it's supposed to. They didn't want us to be knowledgeable of this information, because then we would be knowledgeable of the contracts that they're trying to trick us into. Threat, duress, and coercion. That's also covered in the UCC 1-103. When you sign 103, you're signing all rights reserved, and I believe you're also saying, under threat, duress, and coercion. Yeah. under 1-103, that was one of the things it was saying: fraud, misrep, duress, coercion, mistakes, bankruptcy. You are protecting yourself from threat, duress, and coercion when you're saying 1-103, so that if you do have to go before a court and answer to the contract that you have signed, you can say, well, you see there, I wrote UCC 1-103, which reserve my right, your constitutional rights. And if you don't know your constitutional rights, I suggest you go look them up, because if you don't know your rights, you do not have any. So they don't teach us our rights, so we don't seem to have any. So you're saying 1-103, I reserve all my constitutional rights, and this, with this being signed under possible threat, duress, and coercion, I reserve my right to say that in the the event I have to speak for myself. Okay, so haven't even finished number 2 yet. Okay, so number 2, so your natural person, proper persona, has established lawful status and standing as a principal creditor to the U.S. corporation to offer my private credit exemption / asset so noted in the public as the private trustee or natural person creditor and the settler for the trust, my legal person. I have the full power of attorney as holder in due course, with first right claim as grantor and sole agent for the U.S. debtor. I am sole executor of the legal name, estate, the social security number with the dashes, and I am duly and morally authorized to discharge any public presentment charged to the debtor, offering my signature voluntary to create the credit to balance the accounting without interference from any party under international commercial law. I have properly endorsed and enclosed negotiable instruments, both front and back, in proper banker's acceptance format. Negotiable instruments are like your documents, like your checks, your documents, your contracts, your negotiable instruments. Number 5, pending the return of quote unquote money with substance and with value, because the Federal Reserve notes have no substance. There's no backing. There's no money that backs them. The Federal Reserve notes are IOUs. They're not real money. We still want to know where the money is. Pending the return of money with substance and with value consideration and backing, any attempt to submit liability instruments further increases the national debt and places all concerned deeper into involuntary servitude. That's what we're in right now. And upon proof of claim that you can show me your written instrument that allows you to hold me in a state of involuntary servitude, I honorably instruct that you execute my order to lawfully discharge these public debts charged to the trust or doing business as legal person with your exemption ID, which is your social security number with your dashes. Your social security number with your dashes is your debtor, your legal person, your all caps names, your straw man. Your social without the dashes is your creditor. That's your natural person. That's who you want. That's who you want to be. All right. Order and instructions to the private CID Treasury officer. Per your solemn oath of office to the people, you hereby notified and instructed as my appointed fiduciary to properly and lawfully balance these accounts and forward this banker's acceptance for value and return for value settlement and closure in the amount shown on the presentments at once to the proper agency and update the accounting recording these commercial instruments and financial transactions. Number 2, properly credit the presenter of the enclosed negotiable instruments in the amount shown on the face of the instrument. You are further instructed to notify all related agencies, courts, and corporations that these accounts have been set off by my private credit, settled in full, and closed lawfully by the principal creditor. All claims against the debtor or straw man or legal person, all caps name, in regards to the lawful acceptance and settlement of these accounts must now be released. If you have any valid claim as to why this transaction is unlawful or incorrect, a living authorized representative for your agency is required to sign his or her claim and present it to the private trustee within 30 days and address in heading of this notice. Your claim shall stand under penalty of perjury and full commercial and personal liability for the full amount of this transaction. Claimant must include detailed administrative procedures for correctly handling commercial paper under international UCC contract law. Any valid claim presented as outlined above will withdraw this transaction and cause it to be null and void. A fiduciary tax estimate will be requested to verify the settlement of these accounts. So I wanted to read through the cover letter for those who are hip to what, all the things that I've discussed today. You see a cover letter. I mean, you can either get one that's exactly like this, or you can kind of see what it was talking about. You can definitely construct your own. We do manifest our own destiny. We are able to construct our own documents, especially once you are in proper persona, once you are a live, natural human being. You are no longer a ward of the state. You are no longer a minority. A minority, if you look that up, a minority has nothing to do with the color of your skin, but the level of in understanding. A minor is a child. So a minority is children. So if you are a minority, you are incapable, you are incompetent. So if you are incompetent, you will remain a minority. But if you are very competent, you must understand you are not a minority, but a majority. And you are not subject to their laws, statutes, ordinance, or codes. You only have to follow the supreme law of the land. That is what you were given by your creator. The Constitution is here to so that we are aware of our rights, and the government is here to protect it. So the government that we know definitely do not protect our rights. If anything, they violate them. But we don't have rights if we don't know them. And if there is not enough of us that know our rights, then they can easily be disregarded. So imagine if more of us knew this law. Do you really think that they could do us the way that they do? Or it's a policy enforcer, us knowing that we have the right to travel without those pirates or policy enforcers violating our rights to do so. If more of us knew that, it would be less of those pirates looking to violate our rights, because we are holding them accountable for violating those rights. And when we hold them accountable in the Supreme Court, these things have already been ruled on. So you don't have to take them to court and fight a new fight. You simply take the rulings from a prior court case and stand on that. And with that, they shall flee. So more and more of us are coming to consciousness, coming to see these agencies and what they are doing to us. And as more of us learn the information, we learn that it's our duty to share the information, to bring our people out of darkness, out of the wilderness. This is how we do it. We study, study, study. And then when you think there's nothing more to study, go find something else to study. You'll never be done studying. They did us the worst when they took away our ability to study. As you know, our people, the one with melanin, our people were the only people where they had made it against their laws for us to read and write. So they were making sure that there were a few generations of illiterate people. And, you know, you can just imagine, like right now in today's time, if you raised, you know, a family of 4 children who never learned to read or write and who never went to school and like never learned anything, like they literally didn't learn anything, and then they're put out in this world. I mean, that's a disservice to the human being. You know, that's like not teaching. I mean, I was going to say like not teaching a dog how to be a dog. You know, they kind of know that they're a dog, but I mean, I don't know if you raised them with birds and didn't give them anything that dogs need, the dog would be like, I don't know what to do, you know? So, making sure that our people were illiterate, and then also going the extra mile to also make sure that we would not congregate or be in groups of 3 discussing things, because if we discuss things, we were most likely discussing how to break free, and they didn't want us to leave their slavery. So they just wanted to make sure that we was dumb as hell and never could get out of the situation that we were in. But because the universe, because that is not in the universe natural design, it's not in the natural order of things for us to be done in such a way, it was inevitable for us to eventually break free of slavery, and here we are. So here we are, in not so much physical slavery anymore. Now we're more in mental slavery, which is a little bit tougher because now it's all in the mind. You can't see it, so it's harder to fight against it. But as you see the things that I'm talking about, you can kind of start to see how and why we would say we're still in slavery, how and why there's something that we need to wake up to and be conscious of. I wanted to say about colored people. You never hear me refer to our people as colored people, but I will share with you that there are a lot of colored people, because if you look in the Black's Law dictionary for colored people, colored is the semblance of something to be real. So it's not real. And color and the Bar Association was created for colored people, to govern colored people. And colored people is a legal term. It's not a term for us. If you don't know legalese, this does not make sense to you. Okay, but I am teaching you something. It's not a belief of mine. It's not a belief of yours. It is facts. This is something that you can stand on, and something that our forefathers stood upon. Okay, so the colored is a legal term that describes a people that dishonor their mothers and fathers. And you're going to say, well, I love my mom. I love my dad. You know, that's not who the mother and father that they're referring to. The mother and father that they're referring to is your ancestors. We cannot honor our ancestors because we do not know them. Okay. the fact that you think that honoring your mother and father just means the lady that birthed you and the man who laid with her, that's why you're a colored person technically right now. In the Bible it says, honor your mother and father and you will live long on this earth, or something to that effect. Your mother and father are tied to your inheritance, or tied to your birthright. So if you do not know that you are indigenous to this land, you're not honoring them. You're not wearing your ancestral wear. You're not wearing your hair to honor them. You're not cultivating the land to honor them. You're not speaking their tongue to honor them. You're not thinking how you should to honor them. You're not speaking how you should to honor them. You're not standing on supreme law to honor them. And we are perishing at an alarming rate. So the words are very true. It's just we were not taught who we are, so we're not able to stand accordingly. So people like myself and people that brought me in, that is why we're here. We hear the information and it resonates with us. It wakes us up and makes us remember who we are, who our ancestors are. And we know that this information has to be shared with the masses. And we're going to keep sharing it until you wake up. And when you wake up, we're going to keep sharing it so that we can just build on each other and keep this going. Because like I said, the knowledge is endless. You can never know. You can never know too much. You can know enough to make you crazy. But they said that they denationalized us. So I was mentioning the birth certificate, and on your birth certificate, your mom will say that you're a black male or you're a black female. In that moment that they call you black, that is how you're being denationalized. You're being denationalized through that word. Because when you find out what the word black means, it means death. It means, oh my gosh, when they read the word black, I was like, why does black gotta be evil, dirty, sneaky, dead, not good, opposite of pure? You know, just ain't, how can the word black have so much angry words behind it when it's just a color? Like, that's like, you know, hearing yellow, and it's like yellow is life and love, and it's the energy of all things, and it's great, you know, it's a color. It's just a color. It's a vibration, you know, it's a vibration from the sun. So this color, black, they put so much words and negative connotations behind just the word. And then they call you that word. It's actually a spell. And they've made this word black be connected with such negativity that when you acquiesce to that label or that title or that status, you are putting yourself in a spell. So I encourage you to change your language and stand on it. Stand on it. If anybody is like, what? Invite them in. Don't be afraid to change your environment. Don't be afraid to use educated words and to share this knowledge with the people around you. You don't come at them like, oh, you this and you that and you black and you dumb and that's why you don't know nothing. And I don't come at them like that, because this information is here to save. It's all out of love. Peace, love, freedom, justice. Did I miss one? Peace, love, justice. Peace, love, truth, justice, and love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Okay. So it's all positive words. So you can't speak about this positivity and bring negativity. You're bringing the wrong energy to the situation. You don't have to argue with someone's beliefs if you know the facts, right? Now, if you hear me saying all this and then you just run and tell that, you don't know it. You believe it also. Although you're believing truth, you don't know it to be true by your own eyes. So I always encourage you to go see it with your own eyes. And even if you're like, oh, well, I'm reading this book from somebody else, so how can I really just know? If it's written down in a book, we're gonna use that as law. We're gonna use that as board. If it's in the law book, if it's the Constitution, if it's something like that, and you go read it, that is what it is. And if you go read a few different articles and everything seems to match up, then you're on the right path. But if this says this and that says that, you need to go research a little bit more to see if this is right or if that's right. But you share this information, and don't be afraid to sound different. Don't be afraid to say, I'm Aboriginal. I'm indigenous to this land. My ancestors own this land. This is North America, Morocco, MXM. This is America. This is my land. This is a republic. This is not a democratic. This is my land. Asiatic, you can say that. Moors, you can say that. Morena, you can say that. Moreno, you can say that. Those are some words to describe who you are. Black is not one of them. White is a word that you can use to describe yourself. As you become knowledgeable, as you become pure, white is a free man. Pure, right, knowledgeable. White is not a complexion. Matter of fact, when you call them white, you're giving up your birthright to be white, because they are not white. They are European. They are Caucasian. You need to, now that you are coming into the light, you are responsible for what you're putting out. So you are responsible for putting them in the proper position. You put yourself in the proper position. You can say you're white, or you can say you're freedman, or you can say that you're any of those names that I said before, but just don't refer to yourself as black. And then when you're referring to a Caucasian, call them as such. Caucasian, European, troglodyte, look that up. Let me spell it. Trigo, troglodyte. I think it's TRIGLODYLE, troglodyte, or just say it into your Google. It will pull it up. Research that. Troglodytes, Neanderthals, these are who they are. You need to be knowledgeable of that. You ever wonder why when you're around a Caucasian and they get wet, they smell like animal. They smell like a wet dog, or they smell like some type of animal. That's because they are not fully man. They are mankind. Don't shoot the messenger. Do your research. I didn't make this up. I'm not God. I did not create this. I did not write the book. I'm just sharing the information with you so that you can become more knowledgeable, and you do your own research to back up either what I'm saying, or I'm gonna say if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. But doing your research is how you are going to be able to even stand and talk to me. I'm not gonna talk to you or debate with you on something that you just believe because your mama told you. I need the actual documentation that backs up what you're coming to me, whatever claim that you have. Because I'm not saying that to talk down on anyone or hurt anybody's feelings or offend anyone. I am simply reprogramming you because Western scholars have done so much to mislead us and to miseducate us that we must educate ourselves, and it can be done, and each one teach one. So I'm going to continue doing my part. We covered a lot of information today. I'm going to leave you with that. Oh, well, before I go, let me just read off some, I was in a class where we would actually just be going over these documents together. And I want to tell you the documents that were required reads for us so that you too can go and download these documents either from rvbaypublications.com or just Google them and get the PDF and print it out. So you want to get the Peace Treaty of Peace and Love. Wait, the Peace Treaty of Friendship. I'm drawing blanks, but the Peace Treaty of Friendship. I just wrote down the Peace Treaty, so I don't got it all the way on here. The Treaty of Verona, heard that one was a really good one. Policeman Violator. The Zodiac Constitution, definitely get that. The Black Codes, definitely get that. The International Proclamation, Benjamin Banneker Letter, the Indigenous People, and the Judicial Notice and Proclamation. Oh, that was a personal one. So you'll want to get the Judicial Notice and Proclamation, but you'll find out more about that on RV Bay's website when looking into correcting your status, because that's one of the first things that you are encouraged to do is to correct your status. So while you are learning this information, you are not keeping their name, because your name, a lot of our names, Johnson, Smith, Williams, Thompsons, a lot of those names are slave names. So our masters gave that name to your mama, your daddy, and now you're a Johnson. That's not that is not honoring your mother and father, point in case. Therefore, you will not live long on this earth. Your ancestors' last name was not Johnson, nor Smith, nor Wilson, Williams, Jefferson, Harrison, Henderson, none of that. So we gotta get it right. We gotta get it right. Correct our status. Bring yourself up to speed. Do some studying. Do some reading. Look up this information on YouTube. There's so many ways you can get information. You just have to be looking for it. And stay tuned. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If the things that I'm saying resonate with you, or you can think of somebody that it'll resonate with, please be sure to send them the video. Tell them to subscribe so we can build this nation, melanation. All right, you guys, I'm gonna let you go. Peace, love, and light.